Hello, Skelevaderites. Welcome to another weekly weirdo. This is episode 5, and I'm really excited about today's show. Today's figure is a particular favorite of mine. So how's everybody doing? So this is exciting. Got my buddy's Customs here. Good to see you. So I want to start off with a huge thank you to my buddies Customs for being a patron of the Skelevader channel, and I also want to thank MotuOriginsCork, Brick Something, and Carol Geis also for being patrons of the Skelevader channel. Man, your support, folks, really makes these videos so much more fun. I get to thank real people. And then having people in the chat too really helps, and it's great to see you all here to support these crazy videos, right? Captain Biscuit 71, good to see you. Hey, good to see you. And JMax 77, great to see you here. Fantastic. So for those of you that tuned in to the video I just posted to watch the walkthrough of the gallery, thank you so much. You can watch the rerun of that, of course. It's just a simple video run through of the art show that just closed here in Fresno over there, and it turned out pretty cool. So go ahead and watch that video if you feel up to it, if you like art. Ronald Embry, good to see you here. So can you guess what the particular figure might stem from today, based on some clues lying around? All right. So, all right, look at this. Alf, good to see you. Yeah, two for today. That's right. I didn't have to try too hard with the art gallery walkthrough, just chatting in, typing in the chat. But the video, it's always fun. I love editing videos, guys. I didn't know I would love editing videos as much as I do. When I started the channel, I was super intimidated. Now I just love it. All right, so we got Alf Inflict here. Good to see you. Star Trek, that's hilarious. Nope. Although I might get around to that eventually. There's a little something I could share from Star Trek. Not Gandalf either. Not Patrick Stewart himself. Hey, but when I used to work at I used to work at the Norton Simon Museum as a security guard, what feels like 1,000 years ago. Norton Simon Museum's in Pasadena. And Patrick Stewart was walking through the galleries one day, and I did everything I could to not say anything, because that guy's rad. All right, and Ozstradamus Toys made it. Good to see you, Oz. Fantastic. And Duchess of Darkness, great to see you. Captain Biscuit 71, you're definitely closer than Gandalf and Patrick Stewart in Star Trek. Sorry, my buddies Customs. But yeah, definitely we're heading into Star Wars territory today, which is really exciting. Because Star Wars and I go way back. My interest in Star Wars began like a year before Masters of the Universe. So it's the Masters is like the second longest toy relationship, and Star Wars is the first longest. And good to see you, El Tenda. Fantastic. Howdy to you. So we'll jump right into it, folks. I'm really excited to talk about this. This particular character, whenever I see a version of him show up on available, I try and get him. But I haven't gotten everything. But I really am a big fan of this character. There's tons of versions of him. And Hillian Dreads here. Good to see you. Welcome to it. And yes, this is definitely a Star Wars character from one of my favorite films from the franchise, Return of the Jedi. And though this character is definitely one of my favorites. He's not one of my wife's favorites. We're going to talk about the reasons why. He kind of grosses her out. Can you guess where I'm going with this? Since he grosses somebody out, my wife out. But I love this guy. I particularly love the vintage version of him, but I'm going to show two other recent versions of him that I think are just on point, just amazing. Let me have another sip of my tea to keep you all waiting. Any guesses? Return of the Jedi, super gross character, but also weird and unique and very special. Any guesses in the chat? All right, we've got oh, and we got Masterversal Toy Hunter. Good to see you. Yeah. So Eldor chimed into my art gallery video a little while back as well. So thanks so much for tuning in all the way from Eternia. I mean, that means a lot. Wow, we've got Nolan. Good to see you. Wow, everybody's showing up. This is great. What a wonderful Sunday this is turning out to be. I spent the first half of the day moving artwork out of that gallery, so I'm a little exhausted. But this is definitely a nice way to put a capper on the day. My Buddy's Customs guess is Jabba the Hutt. Very close, very close. And Oz said Jabba as well. And Duchess of Darkness said Jabba as well. Yeah, you're all real close. But and JMax77, it is not Jabba today, folks. But this guy is, I'm just gonna jump right into it. This guy is personally my favorite Twi'lek from Ryloth. Any Star Wars nerds here know who that is? Oh, close, Oz. I'm going to get to the Gamorrean Guard a little later on, too. Nope, not Gamorrean today. All right, he's my favorite Twi'lek from Ryloth. He's the major domo to Jabba the Hutt, and that is BIB Fortuna. So I just love this guy. Yeah, hey, Oz, you said it. You typed it in right before I said it, man. Right on, brother. Yeah, so we're talking about BIB Fortuna today. I really love this character. I loved him as a kid. When the Kenner action figure of him came out, I was really excited to get him. He was one of my treasured figures. I played with him a lot. There's not much this guy does except for stand around and sort of wave his hand and say intimidating things. Oh yeah, Oz was typing Salacious Crumb. That would have been a good guess too. Yeah. I love Salacious Crumb too. And he's a puppet. I mean, those of you who know me know I love the puppets. So yeah, we got BIB Fortuna here. What was his name? The elephant-looking gas mask spy from A New Hope, or the original Star Wars movie. That's a really good question. Anybody know that? Anybody know the name of that elephant nose looking gas mask spy from the first Star Wars, or Episode 4? That would be Episode 4, I guess. A New Hope. I can't think of it right now, but he's a favorite of mine as well. So yeah, we're going to talk about this Captain Biscuit. He gained weight for Book of Boba Fett right at the end of Mandalorian season 2. Boba Fett shows up on Tatooine and goes to Jabba's palace and finds BIB Fortuna now on the throne of Jabba, taking over the crime syndicate for Jabba the Hutt after Jabba's passing. He'd gained a lot of weight, and I really wanted to get it. It was a little too pricey for me, but Hasbro Pulse put out or offered up the Jabba's Palace play set like a year ago. I think it was about a year ago. It's like a little bit pricey for me. I mean, especially since I was less interested in the playset and more interested in the larger BIB Fortuna figure. So if any of you ordered that Jabba the Hutt playset and you wanted the playset, but you don't want the chubby BIB Fortuna figure, please let me know. I'd gladly take that guy off your hands once that playset shows up at your place. All right, we got vintage Motu here. Oh wait, but JMax said Garindan. Is that the name of the gas mask spy? All right, cool. But yeah, Bobby's here. Good to see you. Glad you were able to drop by. This is really cool. Captain Biscuit 71. The gas mask guy's voice was actually John Wayne sped up. That's fascinating. That's really cool. I didn't know that. That's awesome. I love these little tidbits of knowledge that comes from you folks. Yeah, so Oz says definitely the spy dude was Garindan. Cool. And John from Figuratively Speaking, good to see you here. Awesome. All right, so BIB Fortuna is one of my favorite figures. I was able to find a really good deal on this vintage BIB about 6 months ago when I was wanting to. I periodically will jump back into collecting or recollecting the vintage figures, vintage Star Wars figures I had as a kid. This guy was great. He was in fantastic shape. He came with his staff, and he came with everything, the coat and everything, but he was missing this chest piece. So I went ahead and found the chest piece at a reasonable price, chest piece, for a reasonable price on eBay too. So now I have a pretty great condition vintage BIB Fortuna that I got from eBay. What's great about this staff is that he never had this staff in Return of the Jedi, but he did have it at the end of The Mandalorian season 2 when Boba Fett shoots him. He's holding this staff. Pretty cool. Then not too long ago, what was it? My last birthday. Even though my wife doesn't like this guy, she was sweet enough to get this for me. The vintage series or the vintage collection version of BIB Fortuna, 3.75 inch. I do want to point out that the face sculpt here is remarkably good. He's a little the blue blotches that you see on him actually kind of disappear a little bit and add an additional kind of shade, like realistic shading to him when you take a photograph of him. It looks a little weird. He didn't really have blue splotches on him in the movie that we could notice, but probably on the makeup there was. But this guy is really well done. His face sculpt is phenomenal. I love his weird hands. I love fingerless gloves. I love fingerless gloves because they keep my hands warm while I could still like make things. So even as a kid, I loved fingerless gloves. I mean, when the whole breakdancing fad swept through the 80s, and the fingerless gloves and the leather accents and the headbands and that whole look was super. Like as a kid, I thought that was so cool. And I still love that BIB Fortuna has fingerless gloves. Fingerless gloves to show off those super weird long fingers of his and his gross fingernails. He's got those little dangly things from his chin, super fat on the vintage figure, and definitely more in scale to the film version of him in the vintage collection 3.75 inch figure. But I recently was able to find the Black Series BIB Fortuna for about $15 online. I I went searching through the stores when he was first released through the Black Series. Could never find him. BIB Fortuna never showed up in any stores, and I wasn't willing to pay. I'd be willing to pay full price for him maybe if I found him in the wild. I wasn't willing to pay full price plus shipping through Hasbro. And, you know, some figures, especially Black Series, I'm like a little bit hesitant to pay full price. So I found them really reasonably priced on Amazon. But I'm going to take a moment before we look at him because I want to get through, have a look at the chat, see what's going on. I love that everyone's talking to each other, saying hello to everybody. That's fantastic. Yeah, so let's see here. The red around his eyes really stands out, makes him creepy. You're talking about for the for all versions of this character, the red or the pink eyes really makes him creepy. Those contact lenses on the actor who played him. The actor who played him in Return of the Jedi was Michael Carter. And then I love that the actor that played him in The Mandalorian, or in whichever one, Book of Boba Fett, Mandalorian, was Matthew Wood, the same guy who played him in Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, briefly. You know, I have a hard time with The Phantom Menace. I have a hard time enjoying it, but every once in a while I'll go back and watch those movies and sort of get a kick out of the cheesiness. You know, that same actor came back to play him in The Mandalorian. Really cool. Yeah, I love the red around the eyes. I love the contact lenses on him. Oz, that's really awesome. I always forget to say that. Yes, please click the like button, and you know, and if anybody watching here tonight hasn't subscribed yet, please do. Yep, Emerald Knight Photos, good to see you. All right, fantastic. You're all making my day here. So I'd watched a few videos. The BIB Fortuna Black Series figure came out a while back. Yeah, hashtag Blutton. Thanks, Bobby. Hashtag Blutton. Blick that blight, Blutton, everybody. All right, so yeah, this guy is great. He has even more blue sort of in the crevices around the odd shapes on his head, splotches here and there down underneath his chin, even more blue. I'm gonna take him out this week and do a toy photograph with him because this guy's amazing, and see how that blue shows up once I take a picture. Again, you compare these two, they are the same. Look at that. They're like the same figure. Almost the exact same figure, just different sizes. I think I do think that the face sculpt on the 3.7 inch vintage collection version is better, honestly, than the Black Series one. Black Series is a little bit, yeah, it's close. I mean, they're both very good, but I think the smaller one's better. Better sculpt. And the smaller one has soft goods for the cloak. This is like layers of plastic. And I mean, you could remove all this, which is interesting. I mean, you remove his cloak from this guy. He's like, he's so skinny and strange. He's like out of Pan's Labyrinth or something. Or what is that movie? Fifth Element, the singer from the Fifth Element. But he's very lanky without his cloak on. And then he has these funny little dainty shoes and slacks down here, like genie shoes and slacks. I was reading up on the lore of BIB Fortuna and how he wore silks from his planet, Ryloth, and then he wore really soft-soled shoes so he could walk around and spy on people. So that makes sense. These little shoes are very, very kind of cute, dainty little shoes. Anyways, Bib Fortuna is cool. Yeah, totally. Skyfall, welcome to it. Dewanawanga? Absolutely. Good to see you here. Yeah, there's been, have you guys, you've all noticed that it could just be that since I brought Oz and Bobby onto the Toy Frenzy show, or Oz and I started that thing, but since I've been associating with Oz and Bobby, I feel like the community is really, there's a lot going on. You are all doing so many cool things, and it is honestly, as me, me just being me, it's hard for me to keep up with like regular life stuff as it is, but it's really hard to keep up with you all. I am so in awe of how much you're all doing out there in the toy community. It is amazing. Amazing stuff. So many lives today, and Bud's going live too. Awesome. What time are you going live, Bud? Put that in the chat for sure. Yeah, so love this guy. Let me see if I can try and get his jacket back on, or his cloak back on. So Bib Fortuna is one of my favorites. He'll always be one of my favorites. I love the Jabba's Palace creatures. I wish that they had more Jabba's Palace creatures in the Black series, but I'm kind of glad that they don't, just because I am cutting back on my toy spending, and I'd be very tempted to get those other characters in the Black series if they were available. But I'm constantly looking for good deals on eBay for Jabba's Palace, vintage Jabba's Palace figures. I've got 8D8, which is the torture droid that showed up in Book of Boba Fett. I have Jabba, as you've all seen. Maybe you've seen on my show. That was like an epic purchase. I got I have the Rancor monster, and Salacious Crumb, of course, came with Jabba and my vintage Bib Fortuna. But man, I there's so many cool characters from Jabba's Palace that I loved as a kid. Every time I'd get one of those weirdos for my birthday or Christmas, I was just stoked. Bobby, you'll give me your vintage figures. Well, let's talk about that. That's a huge huge deal. We should talk about that. That would be cool. Maybe we can work out a trade. I'd feel more comfortable about a trade. But I really appreciate your generosity with that. That would be really cool. We'll figure something out, Bobby. Okay. And Oz, I have always wanted to make a massive Jabba's Palace diorama. So when that Jabba's Palace from Hasbro Pulse went up for sale, I was really excited about that. But part of me was thinking I could just sort of make something like that eventually. So it is something that I keep thinking about making for, to scale for the vintage figures. I'm not there yet. Maybe eventually get to that, but I'd have to have a little bit more room. Oh yeah, and Eldor talking about my buddy's Customs Live for sure. Okay, Captain Biscuit. Is this species related to Ahsoka and Jabba's Green Dancer slave? I don't know about Ahsoka. I'm not familiar with Ahsoka's story. Sorry to say. I'm like original trilogy all the way. I know about those characters for the most part. But I can tell you that Jabba's Green Dancer, I can't remember her name, but she is also a Twi'lek from Ryloth, like Bib Fortuna, which makes that super weird, and I guess there's a whole story about Bib Fortuna being involved in the slave trade of his own people and how that's super suspicious and not good. But then I guess there's this other storyline where he was like, trying to help them. I don't know. There's a lot, BIB Fortuna, there's a lot of lore behind him. And I was starting to do some research and I was like, man, that's a lot of information. I just love this guy. I like his story arc when after The Mandalorian came out and they showed that he had taken over for Jabba the Hutt and gained a little weight. And I just love that. So yes, I don't know about Ahsoka, but I do know that the Green Dancer is part of that same race or same species. Yeah, definitely. I don't know about that one, but for sure. So yeah, thank you all for watching. BIB Fortuna, one of my favorite figures. Love this guy. And love the Jabba's Palace characters. Bib is right up there in my top 5 of like favorite character designs of all time. Even though he's super gross, but I love the gross weirdos. It's just the way I am. So Oz is doing the research. This is what I love. Oz will just come up. Either he knows the knowledge or he's doing the research right now, which is great. So Togrutas and Twi'leks are 2 very different species. The dancer's name was Ula, and the tentacles are called Liku. But are they from the same planet? I'm pretty sure they're from the same planet, Ryloth, which would explain their similarities, I think. Yeah, hey, no, thank you, Captain Biscuit, for being here. Or are you thanking me for help? I don't know. I'm trying to figure it out too. It seems like Oz has the answer though. So I do think that they're both though from Ryloth. Thank you, Eldor. Yeah, for sure. And Lekus are the tentacles. All right, now check this out. John, yes, Ahsoka Tano and BIB Fortuna have some tassels. These tassels or the tentacles, and others only have one. So yes, they are of the same race. Cool. All right. Bringing the knowledge, John. Yeah, so thank you all for being here. Everybody in the chat, really appreciate you. I'm going to mention again, My Buddies Customs, MotuOriginsCork, Carol Geis, and Brick Something. Thank you all so much for being patrons of the Skelevator channel. If any of you are interested in becoming patrons of the Skelevator channel, that information is down below. Again, I know money's tight for all of us. If you've got a few bucks to contribute to the efforts, then feel free. Also, thank you to Oz and Bobby for being an integral part of the Toy Frenzy every Thursday night. Oh, Oz, 2 separate planets as well. All right, cool. That's fantastic. And Alf says, it's crazy to think that I already had all the vintage Star Wars toys once in my lifetime already. For now, financially, once has to be enough. Motu rules my collection. For sure. I totally know the feeling. I love to just find a vintage figure out in the wild. I love that. I love it when you know, an opportunity kind of like what Bobby is offering, where somebody's like, hey, I got these, I don't really need them anymore, be happy to offer them to you. I love when things like that happen. I love that about the toy community. I love antique stores, and I love finding these little things. But I will say this, those vintage figures 5 years ago, I would find them in antique stores for like $2, $3, $4 because no one, you know, those people didn't really know exactly what they had. Still, but just as recent as like 5 years ago. I picked up a bunch of them from this one antique store for $5 each. And I was like, that was a huge deal for me. And now when I go look on eBay, it's like, ooh, that's, you know, they're pretty pricey. Same thing with vintage Masters of the Universe stuff, folks. So if you've got vintage things, you know, hopefully that stuff's, you know, the value, you know, continues to raise a little bit. So you feel like you've made a wise investment or whatever, but really it's all about the joy, right? I mean, it's about these things that give us pleasure and happiness and good memories. Oh yeah, so that's Alf's comment. Yeah, so listen, folks, thank you so much for being here. Gotta love BIB Fortuna. You know what I'm going to start doing? I'm thinking about I'm naming the episodes. So if you're ever like looking back and you want to see, oh, I remember Skelevator's episode on Elf or Skelevator's episode on Gremlins, you'll be able to find that in the episode description title or the title subject title. So I'm changing those previous episodes to show that. I might even change the thumbnail so it shows an image of the figure. But I like that this is a mystery until you get to see it, until I go live, and then I'm going to keep that tradition alive. Yeah, let's see here. My buddy's custom says nostalgia has come back so hard. All vintage are expensive. Yeah, it's true. Oz, that's so funny. I made a playlist today. I made a playlist today. So you'll be able to go to the playlist and find all the previous episodes of Toy Frenzy. There's a Toy Frenzy playlist now, and there's also a weekly weirdo playlist. All right, cool. Well, thank you all so much for being here. Thanks for always chiming in. I love having you here, and I'll see you this coming Thursday for Toy Frenzy, and I'll also see you next Sunday for another weekly weirdo. Thank you all so much. Oh, big news. I'm going to start making another Snake Mountain. Somebody reached out and they want they want a custom Snake Mountain, very similar to the one that Pedro has, very similar to the one that was in the gallery last month. So it's going to be a big one, 4 feet by 4 feet, 4 feet long by 4 feet tall, probably about 2.5 feet deep, or so you get some. So I'm really excited to start working on that again. So over the next 6 months, there'll be videos posted every once in a while of those new builds. So I'm really stoked about that. Thanks, Oz. Thanks, Bud. Oh, Carol's here. Good to see you. I just mentioned you as a patron, so thanks for chiming in, Carol. I'm about to close up shop here, yeah. So I'm excited. I'm excited to share all that whole build process with you all, and I'm always excited to share little bits of my collection every week with you all. Oh, and Danny Phillips is here too. Danny, I'm so sorry, man. I'm about to stop the video, about to stop the live, but I'm really happy you and Carol showed up here at the last minute. That made my day. You sped all the way home. I really appreciate that. You might be over exaggerating, Carol, but I really appreciate the sentiment. Don't speed, folks. You know what I mean? Drive safely. Yeah, so rewind and watch from the beginning. Today we were talking about BIB Fortuna, one of my favorite characters. All right, thanks all so much. I think Bobby earlier was either saying about time, either about like, ending the show. I know these are long goodbyes, I know. Or he might have been saying about time you got another commission. But thank you, Bobby. Really appreciate it. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your Sunday. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video. Here's the long goodbye.